Hey everyone, in this video I'll go into detail about the hows and whys of my painting process. So first off, I almost always start every painting with some loose sketching with a basic pencil and big strokes. It helps me put down the shapes, and I think you should do this part with confidence and energy. It's the key to have really expressive shapes. Then comes the part where I drop the opacity of the sketch, and on a new layer above I go back to put the line art more cleanly. I still keep a painting brush rather than a clean inking one to keep some messiness in the lines. This helps me give off a more analog feeling. Next, I'll add a layer underneath the line art in color and fill it with a basic color. I won't touch this layer again, and it'll be used to clip all next layers above it. So that way, whatever I want to paint for the character will not go outside of the boundaries of this layer. On a clipped layer above, I'll broadly brush some colors for the skin of the character, and I do so by using a watercolor brush. That way I can have some nice and random gradients and blending of the colors. This will be visible beneath the details later and add a bit more of an interesting base layer. I can then change the opacity of this layer later to suit my needs. For now, I'll hide it. Now, on a multiplied layer above, I'll choose a color and paint in all my shadows to add the volume of the character. Here, the lighting is a basic zenithal lighting, meaning it hits from the top. I also hide this layer for the next step. Now it's time to add details to my painting. Here it will be mostly details of the fur and the horns. I'll use the same brush as I used for the line art and start picking colors and painting and hatching away. Then I'll get back the colors underneath and adjust the opacity to my taste. And same thing for the shadow layer. Now that I have a pretty good view of my finished painting, I'll continue to add details. You can see I'll paint over the line art to make it not black but just a very dark grayish brown and a clearer color inside the character. Outside lines will be darker and the lines inside or smaller lines will be clear to add a less emphasis on these details. I'll also add a darkened layer and paint in with the same color as my line art. For this task I use a round soft brush and I just let it flow gently beneath the arms and face. The darken mode, unlike the multiply mode, will only darken the underneath color up to the one you painted with and never more. So in this case it will not go to black. That's the main difference. To keep the harmony of the painting and will be used to fade some details in the shadow parts. That way it will give the eye of the viewer some room to breathe. Now it's time to paint the gold belt, and I had a very hard time on that part. You can see that I tried using layer effects, changed my mind and painted it from scratch, but I'm still not really satisfied of this result. Metallic surfaces are a pain for me to paint and I'll have to work on that. As a last touch on the character, I'll add a color dodge layer above everything else and gently paint with a soft brush, the same soft round brush to add some highlights. As I didn't want to leave the background white, I tried to do some kind of graphic design to make it seem like a fight poster and finally settled for some typography. And lastly, went back to the character, grabbed the painting brush and an almost white yellow color, and I painted above everything some hard highlights to make the character pop even more from the background, because this one is no longer white. As you can see, I don't hesitate to go back and adjust small details later down the road. So use your layer to the maximum and just try stuff. We're here to learn, so no harm in just deleting a layer and starting over. And that's it for me. I hope this was helpful. For now, bye everyone, have a nice day, and in the meantime, keep creating.